name is Dr. Troy, and I hang out on this channel with my good buddy, Dr. Dave, the Oola Seeker, and we co-wrote an international best-selling book series entitled Oola, and it's about finding more balance in life. And on this playlist, we specifically talk about the subject of money. And today's topic is super interesting to me, and it's what we see when we're on the road. So we drive this, not only do we write books, but we drive this 1970s VW surf bus across the country and meet people, and we collect their dreams in the form of handwritten stickers. Our 1970s VW surf bus right now is covered 24 layers in handwritten dreams of the people we meet. But one of the things that surprised us on our journey is many of the people we meet, although they're excited to see the bus, many people are unhappy. And what they're trying to do, and many of them are trying to do, as we see the goals, is they say, if I buy this, if I lived in that house, if I drove that car, I would be happy. Which got us thinking about this topic of money and happiness. Can money buy happiness? Not what we think. This isn't my opinion. This isn't Dave's opinion. What does the research say? What does the data say on this interesting subject of money and happiness? So I started digging into some articles, and I found this interesting study in 2010 from Princeton University that looked at this subject of money and happiness. And this is what we're going to talk about today. There's 3 levels of money and happiness, so it's not as clear-cut as yes or no. There's 3 levels with money and happiness as far as income levels. We're going to talk about that, but then it actually, some other articles I found went into this interesting topic of if you're going to spend money, don't spend it on this if you're looking to add joy to your life, like a deep level of happiness. But these 5 areas actually do seem to have some correlation with if you're spending money on these areas, it actually does add joy to life. So first, let's look at the income side of things. Here's the part that's super interesting and pretty clear, by the way. And these are averages. If you live in La Jolla, California versus Pella, Iowa, obviously the cost of living is different. So just conceptually look at this. But 0 to 75K, so from $0 a year to $75,000 a year, does money buy happiness? The answer is clearly yes. And it seems to be because at that level, you have the stress, the daily stress of, can I pay my rent? Can I put gas in the car? Are the utilities being paid? Like the basic life necessities, there's a stress on a day-to-day basis of, are you going to have enough money to meet your basic needs? So clearly, at up to $75,000, at $75,000 seems to be the average mark, that at that level you can meet your basic necessities, thereby removing that financial stress from your life, and you're significantly happier. Here's the part where it gets interesting and a little gray. From $75,000 to $120,000, does money buy happiness? Maybe, kind of. Meaning that it seems that at that level, everyone can just breathe a little. You can take that occasional trip. You can go out to eat. You can have the occasional splurge or luxury or purchase that you've been desiring for some time, and you can relax even more. So it appears that from $75,000 to $120,000 a year, yes, although it's not as dramatic as up to $75,000 a year, there is some level of increasing happiness in that $75 to $120K area. This is the most interesting fact. And I looked at not just the Princeton study, but some other data, and it blows my mind because it doesn't make any common sense, because everything we're being sold, everything we're being told is that, man, there's this group of people living this amazing lifestyle, and if I just had that, I'd be there. I'm just going to tell you what it says. 120K and above, no correlation. No correlation between more income at that level. So the person who makes 120K or 1.2 million on a level of core level, deep, fulfilling happiness, no more happiness at 1.2 million versus 120K. There is, which is really interesting, there is this thing, which we've all experienced, that if you're in that and you buy something, you get that new car, you get that whatever, that piece of jewelry, the shoes, whatever it happens to be for you, the watch, and you get a dopamine spike, which is pretty much a drug hit. It's this chemical your brain secretes in these moments of like a purchase or a sale. That's why people are getting, truly shopping can be an addiction for some people, because you get this little hit. And there's those people, there's groups of people above this that the only time they feel that, and it's not the kind of happiness we're talking about here, by the way, it's just a quick hit of happiness by purchasing something that's expensive or on sale. And even for all of us, by the way, it doesn't just happen to be expensive items over 120K a year. But that's not the happiness we're talking about. The level of just overall life satisfaction from 120 and above, it doesn't matter anymore the more money that you make. So that's actually pretty interesting. But then as I was digging around and looking at some of this data, I found some interesting points about how to, like where people spend money. And this is a topic that I've talked about before, not on YouTube, but on Facebook Live. It's like, where can you spend money that really does seem to add joy to life? And there's 5 areas, by the way, that seem fairly well accepted as far as if you're going to spend money, consider spending it on these areas if the goal of spending the money is to add joy or happiness to your life. The first one is the most interesting to me, and it's the most well accepted across all platforms, and that's experiences over things. So the first area is consider spending money on experiences over things. And this is why I believe this to be true. And this is something that I've experienced personally, but also I've talked to other people who understand this concept, and they believe the same thing. This is why I believe experiences are a good place to spend money over things. Number one is because when you buy something, like you buy a cool car, you buy a cool whatever house, you buy a cool pair of shoes, you buy a cool whatever the thing that you buy, your opinion of it decreases over time, and the value decreases over time. So what I'm saying is, if you buy this thing, and I'm not talking about a technical, like it's an investment that appreciates in money. I'm saying just like you buy that thing and you get that dopamine hit and you go, this is cool, and you show it to your friends, and pretty soon it's sitting in the closet, and when you come to declutter the closet 2 years later, you're like, I spent a lot of money on that. I don't know if I want to just give that away. Then it reminds you of the money you spent. So the long-term effect of something like that, yes, the dopamine hit, but later you look back and go, it's not worth anything anymore, and you've lost value in that purchase of a thing. But on an experience, it's just the opposite. It's this concept, and I want you to write this down. You don't have to write down. It's a video. But I want you to think about this and put this in your brain. It's a concept called nostalgia bias, meaning, and I have 4 kids, so I remember taking our kids like literally around the world, and we did crazy things. Right now, as I think back to those trips and those experiences, I smile. And something's happened in the last 10 to 20 years where I've forgotten all the crying kids in the back seat of a car, and I've forgotten, delays in airports, and I've forgotten all the money that was whatever. I've forgotten that, and I have just the opposite. Like, I look back at pictures and all I can remember is the good stuff. So where a material purchase loses value in your brain over time, typically, these experiences that you have over time, our brain tends to forget the bad stuff, and you tend to elevate, actually, like inflate the good that was there, and you think back and go, those are the good old days, man. That was when it was simple and we did some crazy fun stuff and it was good. That's nostalgia bias. So experiences benefit from nostalgia bias, whereas purchases of things and items don't. They go down in value. Experiences typically in our brain go up in value. Like, I will not remember that plane flying over later. I'll remember you and I hanging out on a video, and I'll say, remember that time we hung out on a video and we talked about happiness and money? I won't remember that because this is an experience. It's not a purchase. It's not a thing. The second thing is, if you spend money on things you enjoy, like over time, this happened to me at 40. At 40, it's like, what do I like? We're being pitched constantly on Instagram and social media and commercials of, maybe you'll like this, and maybe if you put this thing in your life, you will be happy. And we start to believe it, or we start to look around and go, maybe if I had that, I'd be happy, or I think I'm just missing that thing. But over time, you start to learn yourself and go, you know what, I really don't like that. That just adds clutter to my life, and that's not that cool. A weird example, I like store-bought nice. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I will literally go to the store and buy really fancy ice cubes, and my wife thinks I'm crazy. I like them. I don't know why, but I will spend money on those. But I also, I don't spend money on fancy watches. I had a couple and just worried about them. Like, oh, what if someone steals it? And it's not my thing. So over time, instead of trying to impress people or try to do what society tells you to buy, eventually you just purchase things you know that you enjoy. The third thing, and I loved it. This isn't me again. This is articles, but I'm going to give you my own spin on some of this stuff. Is number 3, if you can purchase time. Meaning that if you get to the point and you can spend money on things that remove negative experiences from your life, that's valuable. I'm a big advocate of this. Like, I moved down here 10 years ago, I didn't even bring a lawnmower because that doesn't add value to my life. My brother-in-law, he said, man, it's just the most beautiful time of the week when I can just mow. And I'm like, mowing and shoveling, and I don't go, yeah, this is my favorite 2 hours of the week. Not my thing at all. So if you can earn enough income that you can buy away negative experiences in your life, if it's cleaning your house, if it's mowing your yard, if it's doing this, or just things you just don't. Some people like working with their cars. I don't even know how. So if I can buy that, like someone take care of that stuff for me, that adds value. So you're buying time by purchasing away negative things that in your life. So that's a good one. The fourth one is spending money learning new things. As you learn new things, as you grow personally, which is such an Oola concept, by the way, as you continue to explore who you are and the things you enjoy, over time, a bit into the nostalgia bias thing, you look back and go, hey, that was a great experience. Like, I'm continuing to grow as a human being, and that could be physically, that could be nutrition, it could be mentally, it could be whatever it is, it could be relationally, like in your marriage, whatever it is, as you continue to learn new things, that is a good place to spend money. And the last one, which is well known, but underdone, is simply giving. If you can get past the point where, past a scarcity model that I need to hold these dollars because I don't have enough to pay the bills, and I get that, I've been there, everyone's been there, but man, if you can start letting it go and letting that money flow through, and then you can start seeing some value in whether it's someone you care about or a cause you care about, the end result of that feels good. And as it feels good, it adds joy to your life more than a purchasing of something. More that if you feel like you're contributing to a cause greater than yourself versus just another something that's going to sit in your closet and you're going to look at it and feel guilty because you have 8 of them already. Giving is an area of spending money that seems to add joy to life. So I'm going to recap, man. That's a lot of data, but this is a topic that's super interesting. And I want you to step outside your own life, and rather than just spending money hoping to find happiness, understand that it's not a black and white issue. Can money buy happiness? Well, apparently up to $75K a year, yes it can. And from 75 to 120K, it adds some value, but not at the same level as 0 to 75K, but you can loosen up and have some more luxuries and have some more experiences and travel a bit, go out to eat. But at 120K, no, like 120K and above, doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. And I know there will be people watching this say, yeah, that's what everyone says who makes more than 120K a year. I'm just telling you what the data says, and I can tell you the same thing. And if you're going to start spending some money, I would look at these 5 areas and say, how am I doing here? Maybe I should look at spending money more on experiences and less on stuff, because of this cool concept called nostalgia bias, that experiences inflate, like elevate, improve over time in our brain, and the things we buy typically depreciate. So one is a appreciating like asset in our brain, the other one's a depreciating asset in our brain, and speaking in financial terms. The second thing is spending money on things you figured out finally over time that no one else is telling you, that you, because you're uniquely you, that you enjoy. I have a buddy, we went to Norway and we sat down to have a beer, and he's like, it was like 24 bucks for a beer or something stupid. I'm like, dude, I don't like beer that much. And he's like, I do. I like beer that much. I'm like, that's his thing, man. I like store-bought nice. I don't know what your thing is, but as you identify what you like, spend money on that. Don't, if you're a football fan or you like fashion or whatever, just keep it in budget and understand, just make sure it's clear here that it's truly something you enjoy. The third one, which I love, is time, man. Buy away negative, purchase away negative experiences, things you hate doing. If you spend money on that, you'll probably be happy. Learn new things, grow personally, and then also give. Let this stuff flow. Let this stuff flow, and what you'll typically find is that you'll be happy, more happy because of it. So you guys are awesome. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And it's not just this playlist on Money Mondays. Man, Dave's got one on finding balance in life. There's some motivational minutes. There's cool things on this channel. We're building a library, and we're just glad you're here. So subscribe and click the bell so you're notified when new videos are posted. Until I see you next time, be grateful, have faith, and go get your Oola life.